So I had to mute this clip because it had copyright music playing, but you don't need any music. Trust me. It's pretty insane to watch punching the whatever that is, the phone. I think that's the phone you use to call over the intercom, kicking it, destroying the display. Do we even need context? Could there be any context that will warrant this type of behavior? Or are there certain people who get to walk around in this society with force fields around them where it'll be excused and it will never be punished? And they know that and they take advantage of it. Inquirer minds want to know.
This woman claims to have an unlimited EBT card with a spending limit of up to $3,000 simply because she has 7 children. And the way she checks out completely exposes some little-known loopholes in the U.S. welfare system. In the video, her shopping cart is piled high, yet she checks out with complete ease. She doesn't pay a single cent in cash and even flaunts her unlimited EBT card on social media. The monthly benefits she receives allow her to spend without any concern. The controversy isn't just about the massive amounts. It's that this style of spending is seen as a symbol of welfare abuse. Netizens quickly flock to social media to discuss it, expressing anger, shock, and even mockery. Imagine this. You've worked hard all day, and after work, you have to carefully calculate every coupon and discount at the grocery store. Meanwhile, right next to you, someone is using a government-issued card, funded by your taxes, to casually spend $3,000 a month filling their cart without a second thought. Some argue that it's necessary for the children's expenses. Others see it as a direct provocation to taxpayers. This is more than just a card. It's a mirror reflecting systemic loopholes and social inequality. What's even more shocking is that she treats this behavior as a form of capital, flaunting it publicly online as if to say, look, I have unlimited resources. You can only envy me. So is welfare truly meant to support livelihoods? Or in some cases, has it become a tool for a few to flaunt their advantages? What do you think? This woman claims to have an unlimited...
Yeah, well, it's definitely being taken advantage of at this point. We can see that. And I mean, it always has been. And I think the thing is, on one end, it's incentivization. I think they said that she has 7 kids. 7 kids. Do we think she got on SNAP supplemental nutrition assistance program? Nutrition wasn't nothing nutritious in that cart. Allegedly. But again, do we think that she got on the program when she finally had the 7th kid and then now she learned her lesson? Or was she already on the program probably before she even had her first kid? So how can you say that it's not taking advantage if you're still conceiving children while you're already on a program which symbolizes that you're in destitution and that without it you wouldn't be able to take care of yourself or your responsibilities? How do you then go on to add additional responsibilities to yourself while it's understood that you wouldn't be able to take care of what you already had this program not stepped in, but you get to add on to it? That still hasn't been explained and it's very rarely explored. But y'all, let's go ahead and get back into it. Before we do, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also if you could hype. Her caption says, "Fighting my food stamp caseworker."
Story time on the time I had to fight my food stamp caseworker. So basically it started off normal. It was a regular day and I had just literally been calling up to the office for like a month straight and basically just telling them like, yeah bro, I have a job and all that stuff, but like it would be nice if y'all gave me these food stamps, like I'm a single mom or whatever. And I know so many people who literally don't work at all and they're not trying and they literally get so many food stamps and they're not doing shit. So yeah, I was kind of pressed and I was calling their ass. So I could tell the lady over the phone definitely had a bad attitude with me. She had a super nasty attitude. She hung up in my face one time, and the second time I called back, she had a nasty attitude again. So I just said, don't even worry about it. I'll just go.
You know what's amazing to me? It's funny enough, it's always the people with the worst attitudes that's so perceptive of other people having an attitude with them. That's never addressed. And it's never addressed within themselves either. It's never reflected upon that a lot of times people are mostly just mirroring back the energy that you're giving to them. Because you said you already came into the situation frustrated about you not being able to get the assistance. So I highly doubt that you got on that phone in a polite manner to begin with. But then you're so perceptive of any possible attitude or the tonality. I've always found this the most disrespectful people always wanted you to watch your tone. Ain't that something? They can pick up on the slightest tones. They can pick up, and it's because the reason that they're so perceptive to it is because it's what they do. So it's easy to assume, and a lot of times they assume wrong. But because they do it, that's the lens that they see things through. And so even if you didn't mean to be that way, even if you weren't trying to come off in a certain way, they can still perceive it in that way because that's the way that they operate. And I think that's very funny.
The lady over the phone definitely had a bad attitude with me. She had a super nasty attitude. She hung up in my face one time, and the second time I called back, she had a nasty attitude again. So I just said, don't even worry about it. I'll just go to my local food stamp office. Coincidentally, I was on the phone with the exact same lady that was on the phone with me. She was the lady at the local food stamp office when I got there.
Hmm.
Automatically, she recognized my voice and I recognized hers. So I did have an attitude when I went in there, and we had a couple exchange of words back and forth. And the next thing I know, I see her buck at me. So when she goes to buck at me, automatically muscle memory, I just grabbed her from across the counter and slunk her on the floor. And life for part two because I'm at work right now.
Automatically from muscle memory. Ma'am, do you even know what muscle memory is? Muscle memory means that you reacted in a way that you often tend to. And so it's locked in muscle memory. So are you a professional boxer or something? Are you are you an MMA fighter? Because what other frame of reference would you have to have the muscle memory to reach across somewhere and grab somebody and then get to work from there? So again, didn't I tell you? She already has an attitude. I wouldn't be surprised if she saw what she wanted to see as far as a buck. Y'all both was probably rolling your neck. But because you're not used to seeing it back, you then interpreted that as she was bucking at you. And then you did what you wanted to do in the first place. Let's just be real. And she's trying to act like, oh, I didn't know that she would be at the local food stamp office. So you weren't calling the local food stamp office number? Trying to be slick, ma'am, you knew darn well that office was linked to the place that you were calling because you probably have to get benefits in your locality. But she tried to make it seem like it was just happenstance. Ultimately, you have muscle memory to put your hands on people. You probably fight a lot. And so that's why it's locked in the muscle memory for you to revert back to what you're used to doing, even though you're not in the type of place where that is acceptable. And you just put your hands on a government worker. At the very least, let them put their hands on you first. But no, she's saying that a woman sitting down at a desk allegedly bucked at her. And then that gave her justification to do what she really wanted to do. Just be honest.
A bag of oranges. So I didn't get my food stamps this month, and instead
The caption says she gave them an incredible free food drive and they still complained.
so I didn't get my food stamps this month, and instead this is what I'm supposed to survive off to feed my family. A bag of apples, a bag of oranges, tomato soup, oats, elbow macaroni, milk, peas, black beans, diced tomatoes, tomato sauce,
She's like, what is this healthy stuff? I wish she would turn the camera around so we could see what she looked like.
peaches, more pinto beans,
Pinto beans.
peanut butter, green beans, tuna,
She's like, where's the flaming hot Cheetos? Where's the where's the donut sticks? Where's the zebra cakes?
And this. So I'm supposed to feed my family for the entire month with what you see in this box. It's an absolute disgrace and a joke. So I didn't get.
First of all, I doubt that the food bank is expecting you to live off of that
Right.
for a full month. Most
You
food
can
banks
come
are giving
back.
out food weekly, if not bi-weekly. Or you could go to
Go to
another
another
food
one.
bank next week and get some more food.
Thank you. Not even resourceful. Not even resourceful. So this is how you start to realize that it's not that you don't have the resources available to you. It's just that you're not resourceful. You have no resourcefulness. It's not that there aren't enough resources. You're lazy is ultimately what it is. And you don't want to have to do anything. You want things to flow from the ether and then instantly get deposited onto your card for you to then go and be able to get whatever you want. Stop it. It's not, this isn't about survival. This is about, just be honest. You don't like what's in that box. What's in that box isn't going to give you the dopamine that you're looking for, and it's not going to quell your desires. And so you just want to be able to get whatever you want to be able to get. But yet you don't understand that when people are giving you free things and they're assisting you, this is for survival. This is not it. Again, supplemental. People love to misinterpret what that means, but they're supplementing you for, like what she said, that week or maybe a couple of days until you come back and get something else. You just didn't like what you got in the mystery box, ma'am.
To live off of that for a full month. Most food banks are giving out food weekly, if not bi-weekly. Or you could go to another food bank next week and get some more food. I think a lot of people don't realize that places like food banks that are giving you food for free, I think people are neglecting to realize that that is to help you, not fully support you. Food bank boxes are meant to give you something, not to provide
Right.
every single meal that you are going to eat throughout the week or the month.
Right.
They're hoping that you have food in your cabinets to bridge the gaps and make complete
Bridge the gap.
meals, or that maybe you're getting food stamps or have money to go buy groceries to add to it. Now, I know during this time people weren't getting their food stamps, so the idea is that the food bank shouldn't expect people to use their food stamps to bridge the gap in these boxes. But when all of this happened, the food banks were overrun. They were running out of food. Workers were being overworked. You think that they can just magically snap their fingers and triple their food intake? No. They rely off of donations and subsidies, and the freaking government was closed, you jackass.
And not just that, but see, by her premise, and when I say her, I mean the entitled person who was complaining after getting free stuff. By her premise, you just make zero money, right? You just have zero to work with, which that should not be the case for most people. But yet most people expect for their entire food consumption to be paid for. Why aren't you making any money? You need to explain that. You want them to contextualize why they didn't give you what you needed fully. But have you contextualized why you can't work and bring in any income whatsoever? Any income whatsoever? Okay, well, how about this very food bank that you're complaining about? How about this woman just said they're understaffed? How about you go volunteer there since you can't work? Maybe if you volunteer there, now you're plugged in. Now you can get first dibs on what you want. But I don't see you trying to solve the problem. What I just see is you putting the problem on others to solve for you, as if there aren't other people who are in need as well, who they're supplementing. But you're trying to demonize them when all they're doing is helping. And so what will ultimately happen is you're acting like this, which is going to disincentivize people from wanting to help you. And then you're going to burn your last bridge, and you're not going to have anybody to blame but yourself.
Black people, if y'all don't get off this damn app telling people that they gotta feed your damn kids, I am gonna scream. What the fuck is you doing? You is making us look bad, Okay? Stop it. Folks, this is not the majority of us. This is the small minority of folks that think that other folks,
Mm,
including us, taxpayers,
mm.
need to pay for their kids and their problems. All right, that is not everybody. That is not of all of us. They are not a representation of us. I feel as if I needs to make this video because y'all out here acting the fool.
Mm.
Somebody said they gonna block their followers if everybody don't send them 50 cents so her kids can eat because they ain't ate in 5 days. Bitch, have you heard of a food bank? Go find one. Stop.
I'm gonna be honest. If your kids haven't ate in 5 days and you're on TikTok, that says more about you, and you need to be reported, and they need to be taken away from you because clearly your priorities are all the way messed up. And shout out to this woman because this is what pride looks like. This is what pride in your culture and in your community looks like. But let some other people tell it. The pride would be in begging for stuff. They think that's pride. And you telling them to stop doing that because it's making the whole of us look bad. They look at it like, "Oh, you don't have pride. Oh, you're not with us. Oh, you're not this." No, she's actually trying to uphold a standard within the community so that we're actually taken serious. And she's even trying to make sure that the population understand that this is the minority, even though y'all are the loudest and y'all are the ones marketing the degeneracy that then reflects back on all of us. So shout out to her because that takes courage. Because what'll happen is the bottom feeders will then try to nip at her heels or try to silence her because she's ultimately just telling the truth. And again, she's telling you to be something worth taking serious, be somebody who is thorough, be somebody who does take responsibility for your situation and don't just go out and make it everybody else's responsibility to take care of you and to take care of your bad decisions and clean them up. Her caption says government assistance talk.
Now, what I'm about to say is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, but let your feathers be ruffled. If the shoe fits, the shoe just goddamn fits. When it comes to government assistance, whether it's SNAP benefits, WIC, HUD, income based apartments, Medicaid, all of that government assistance stuff. If you need it, that's what it's there for. It's there for you to get you to where you want to be. It's there for you. If you have a job, get a better job. Go to school. You don't have nobody to watch your kids. That's what it's for. It's for mothers and people and elderly people to get back on their feet. With that being said, once you receive those government services, that doesn't mean you just live on it for the rest of your days here on this
Mm,
earth. There are so many people who need those type of assistances that can't get it because the people who got it 20 something years ago, 5+ years ago, are still on it.
I'm glad she differentiated that, and we're still about halfway through. So I'm going to talk about something she spoke about, but I want us to keep in mind that we still haven't gotten the full context of what she said because I was about to really get on it when she said this is for mothers and this is for elderly. But then she added the additional caveat, which is, but it's not to be lived on for the rest of your life. So I respect that she said that. However, cool, it can be for mothers, but I think we need to contextualize that and get more granular on that ultimately because if you're already on the program, like I mentioned previously, why do you still get to conceive more children even though you're already on it and you couldn't take care of what you already had? And see, that doesn't get explored enough. As well as, why isn't there a cutoff to where we say, okay, if you done had that many kids and you done had that many different fathers, listen, and we're not going to use this as in general because it's not generally what happens, but I'll bring it up. If you were with a man and he was paying all the bills and you decided you all were going to start a family and you were going to take care of your kids So you were going to be a stay-at-home parent. Y'all have 7 kids, but you had a man and he was able to take care of 7 kids. And then something happens to that man, and now you're left with 7 kids. I can understand that. Even though I still feel like that man should have had life insurance. But I can still understand that from the woman's side, because that was on that man to make sure he has the life insurance. You just trusted in that man and he didn't do what he needed to do. And now you're left carrying everything on your own. I can understand that situation, as well as there are other caveats and situations that are abnormalities, which we can evaluate on their own. But in general, what we're seeing is we're seeing egregious things to the point to where we have to question, okay, were you intentionally doing these things in order to maximize and optimize the amount of benefits that you're able to receive? Because how you didn't know, how do you have a philosophy that you don't need a man and you want to be single, but yet you have 8 kids by 9 dads? That needs to be addressed, and that needs to, a conversation at the very minimum needs to be had to understand, and a commitment needs to be made. Ideally, I wish the commitment would get made after the first whatever. As soon as you get on the assistance, I think a commitment should be made. No more kids until you have a plan, a solid plan. You know how you go to the bank in order to get some free money? If you need to start a business or whatever, they make you do a business plan presentation in order to explain why you're about to get this money. You should have to do that before you start having some more kids, about your intentionality about having more. There should be a questionnaire where they're saying, "Do you want more kids? I'm just curious. We want to know this now." Okay. Here are your options as far as contraceptive, whatever the case, et cetera, et cetera. And we want to ensure that you don't continue to have more because you already can't take care of what you have. And based on the data, which is something that I think we need to start using, which is the data showing that there's a lot of people on these assistance programs that are having more kids. Why haven't we addressed this yet? As something that we need to preemptively put a stop to before it gets out of control, to where, like she just said, we have to take care of them for the rest of their life, because we look at their situation and we say there's no way that any single woman in her right mind would be able to turn this situation around unless something extreme happened. And then you end up basically getting your entire life taken care of strictly out of necessity, but ultimately out of your own decisions that you made, that any reasonable person could look at and say, how did you think that you were going to be able to sustain that? But yet you get the benefit of having these philosophies that you want to be single while you do it.
Days here on this earth. There are so many people who need those type of assistances that can't get it because the people who got it 20 something years ago, 5+ years ago, are still on it. And this is coming from a black woman. This is coming from a woman who had those type of government services. You're supposed to be, if you're not working, you're supposed to be in school so you can get a better job and get you and your children a better place to go. You're supposed to be receiving those SNAP benefits because you can't afford to put groceries in your house. So you should be doing things in your life to better your situation so that you will never need those things again, and it can go to somebody who's in the shoes that you were in and trying to get better. Income based houses, receiving SNAP benefits, all of those, you should only be able to keep those benefits if you're working. Either if you're working, if you're in school, if you're disabled, or if you're elderly, or if your child is disabled, or if you're elderly. But I feel like in order to keep those benefits, you have to work or go to school. Now, what am
Yeah, I love that. And what I addressed was basically what tends to happen a lot, which is, even if somebody is working to better themselves, which, as we see, a lot of people aren't, they're watching daytime TV and they're just doing whatever they want. Some of them still going on vacations, cruises. But that only works. You trying to better yourself only works if, while at the same time, you're not making your life harder by putting extra wounds on yourself. What good is it if you're trying to better yourself, but you're still having kids? You're not going to be able to catch up in proportion to the self-inflicted wounds that you are sabotaging your own life with. So while you are bettering yourself, you also need to be mitigating against further decisions that are only going to dig you deeper within the hole. But that doesn't get addressed. We don't ask, why did you just have another one? When you come in and you listen, you're already on government assistance, then you schedule an appointment to let them know, hey, I need to update my record. It's funny, they never update their record when they got a job in most cases, but they'll come in and say, I need to update my record because I'm pregnant right now. Why at that point don't they say you're pregnant right now? That should flag. They should have a bell where you ring ding ding ding, and then it goes emergency. Somebody was already on this program and they talking about they pregnant again. And then they should have you in an interrogation room. But they can't do that because then that will stress you out, right? Which it would. But when do we get to address it then? When do we get to be like, no, you said you already said you couldn't handle. Where did you find the time?
No longer eligible for food stamps. The change affects Cobb, Gwinnett, and Hall counties. Channel 2 Sophia Choi is live in Cobb County. And Sophia, this involves able-bodied adults who are now required to go to work.
Okay, y'all. It has started. And the only reason why I stitched this video is so that I can bring a different perspective of what is happening. Now, if you don't know, from my understanding, starting in Georgia, it has started to where if you are an able-bodied citizen that has no dependents, you are now required to go to work or join a workforce program to prepare you to get into the workforce, and you are no longer allowed to have food stamps. Now, I see a lot of people stitching videos saying, oh, this is what you guys voted for, this is what you asked for, and now you're getting it, blah, 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 blah. As I said in the beginning of the video, I am only stitching this situation because I want to give a different perspective to the people who will be affected.
Would you believe that there are people who, once this came out, that they're going to have to join a workforce program if they don't have kids, that in their mind, they thought, well, it would just be easier to just have some random dude knock me up so I don't have to work. Would that surprise a lot of y'all? That's what a lot of people thought and ultimately did and are ultimately doing currently? It wouldn't surprise me.
By this change. So here's my testimony, just a small bit of my life. When I was 18 years old, my dad had a rule that if you're going to live in his house past the age of 18, because at that point you're grown, the responsibility of taking care of your child in that manner is no longer there, that I had to have a job and I had to financially contribute to the house. Or I had to be in college with a part-time job pursuing a career. I personally did not want to go to college, so I decided to do the work route. And I was working at a college in the cafeteria part-time, and I was paying the bills my dad had required, or like the amount that he required, but I didn't have much left over for me to begin building a life for myself. Little did I know, making that decision of keeping a part-time job and not pursuing a job that could make it to where I could eventually move out and afford to live on my own ended me homeless by my decision. Something was said to me to where I just chose to leave to respect my parents' home, and I ended up homeless at the age of 18. I share that little tidbit of my life to say this. My dad could have easily changed his requirements in his home and took back what he said to me that made me leave, because I want to emphasize again, he didn't tell me to leave. I chose to leave because I didn't like what was said to me.
Why don't you just tell us what he said?
But he could have easily changed his regulations to make my life easier, but he didn't. That decision to leave my parents' house at 18 vaulted me into who I am today. When I left my dad's house, I was jumping from friends' houses to my grandma's house. It was like a good year and a half, I believe, that I was like technically homeless because I had no place to call home and I was living out of my suitcase. And then, I'll share the rest of the story another time if you guys would like. But long story short, I ended up living with my grandma and I ended up having my first big girl job with Wells Fargo and starting a career. So now let's bring what I'm trying to say full circle. A lot of people are seeing this situation of no longer being able to be on food stamps. Now, listen to the requirements. It's for the people who are able-bodied, meaning there's absolutely nothing wrong with you as to why you should not be getting up and going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, they have no dependents. So there's no scheduling reason, no babysitting. There's no reason why you should be getting food.
But at the same time, I feel like we need to start looking deeper into the people who have dependents. If you haven't been able to tell by my points that I've been making, I don't think that everybody with dependents rightfully deserve it, because I think that there are some people who are taking advantage of it and who know better ultimately. And how I know you know better is because you've already experienced it. You already have experienced having a child, not being able to take care of it, to where you have to then go enroll for benefits because you can't take care of it. So you've already hit that point. So then why would conventional reasoning and conventional logic then lead you to believe that you're equipped to have more? That still isn't something that we explain. So if you ask me, the way that the program is still set up is very generous, because if I was the one making the rules, we would go a lot deeper. So if you ask me, things are still very much sweet to be exploited, and people still exploit it, which I find amazing, because that really just shows how wide open it really has been for all this time. And we've seen it. We've seen it. If we're honest, we've been watching it happen for a long time.
Let's bring what I'm trying to say full circle. A lot of people are seeing this situation of no longer being able to be on food stamps. Now, listen to the requirements. It's for the people who are able-bodied, meaning there's absolutely nothing wrong with you as to why you should not be getting up and going to work. And number two, they have no dependents. So there's no scheduling reason, no babysitting. There's no reason why you should be getting food stamps and you're an able-bodied person with no dependents, okay? So for my people who are making this seem like a bad thing, I need you to stop. Because
there are some people, again, there's some people who are able-bodied with no dependents who should be getting food stamps. The most obvious case is if you've lived in an orphanage your entire life. I think you should be permitted to get a little bit of help getting started from the government, since you did not get proper guidance coming up, and since you probably have dealt with a lot of trauma. But in most cases, no. But I'm sure there are other cases that are exceptions. But because people have been ruining it for everybody, they haven't been using things in an ethical manner. Now it just makes it to where you have to say, okay, we don't have time to go through the nuance, because people won't just use it how it's meant to be used. So now we need to create blanketed umbrella regulations in order to just serve as a filter. And so those exceptions are no longer exceptions, because people won't just do the right thing on their own.
Experience in life, when pressure is applied, you either crack and crumble, or you put pressure back and you get up and you do what you need to do to succeed. I don't know very many successful people who cracked under pressure. So if you're one of those people who food stamps is now being taken,
like
God
that.
has to make you uncomfortable to get
Yeah.
you to the next place in which he has for you to be. So see this as a blessing and a motivation to get off of whatever you're sitting on and get on your feet and start, putting back into society what you took, because that's other people being able to pay into the fact that you get food stamps. So you're paying forward back into what you took when you were on food stamps, and you're also building a life in which you can sustain for yourself, to where you're not depending on the government to feed you. I'm gonna leave you with these last two things. Number one, last I checked, the Bible says that those who do not work do not eat. And those who are lazy, poverty will jump on their back like a thief in the night. Look around you, with all you having being food stamps and whatever else you're doing to make money. Is that enough? Why are you okay with living with the bare minimum? Why are you okay living a life in which someone else can dictate whether or not you eat? Because right now you have set yourself in a situation that since the government said no more, you no longer have the financial stream that you need to feed yourself and your family if you have one. Don't ever get complacent in life depending on anything but God. I love y'all. That's it. That's all.
Good job. I'm gonna let her get the last word on that because that was powerful. That was absolutely powerful, and I love how she used her own story of where she made a decision. She decided she was going to stand on something, and she ultimately did, and she took responsibility for it. And she, in hindsight, was able to reflect back on that and say, it actually made me stronger, it made me more capable, and ultimately it empowered me to take responsibility for my situation. But she had to get uncomfortable, and she had to be thrusted out there, even though she did it on her own. And she might have been able to take advantage of something for a little bit longer. She decided it just didn't fit her standards for herself. And so she became an adult and she took her life into her own hands. And she's telling you that's what a lot of y'all need to do willingly. But now it's being forced upon you, just as it was forced upon her. And so we praying for all these things. We're praying for strength. We're praying for abundance. You might find out that what you prayed for is what's happening. You were praying for to be stronger. You were praying to be able to take care of your kids or whatever. But a lot of people just pray from A to Z. But they don't understand that you're praying at A and all the letters in between are going to get you to Z. That's how that works. You have to become that. It's not just going to be given to you. And so you're getting thrusted out so that you can get the internal things to be able to get the outcome that you've been praying for. But just getting the outcome doesn't actually help you build anything that you're going to need to carry on so that you can continue to sustain what you've decided to take on. So powerful, powerful stuff. Y'all, we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I'm a smaller creator, a smaller channel, we actually get more points per hype. And hype was designed for smaller channels, so that's why we get more points. But if you come across a video and you don't see the hype button, then it's probably been over 30, excuse me, not 30. It's probably been over 7 days. And hype usually vanishes after 7 days. So it's usually best practice if you want to hype a newer video, especially, then just go ahead and hype while the iron is hot. And then also, if you want to become a member, you should see the join button on this video. And by becoming a member, what that will come with is badges next to your comments where people will be able to recognize that you are a member of the DXU family, as well as early access to content and exclusive access to videos that aren't available to the general public. So again, if you want to join button's on the video. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.